speak with, oh yes, go and make disciples. So it's worth unpacking. Jesus said, go and make disciples, meaning be the church. Be the church. Don't just go to church. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Be the church. Do things like Sunday school, Vacation Bible School, have Bible studies, cell groups, United Methodist Women's Group, Methodist Men's Group, have worship celebrations. Be the church. Go beyond the walls of your church building and make a difference for those who are hurting. That's part of the this is the Great Commission, and then there's the Great Commandment, to love God, love others, and serve the world. And so the Great Commission is given to us, church, and that's what I want to talk about today. On the day after Easter, the Great Commission. Go and make disciples. Break it down. Go and make more and more mature followers of Jesus Christ. The reason I say more and more mature, Bishop Palmer said that years ago. And he had said more, meaning people that have never heard of Jesus or never considered Jesus, make more disciples, and more mature, meaning like some of you, you've been in church all your life, yes? But we all have room to grow, yes? Yeah, a few of you, thank you, yeah. You have room to grow, whether you said yes or not. You have room to grow, so do I. And so we'll go and make more and more mature disciples. One of the things I'm doing, I'm experimenting with something right now, so if I seem a little distracted, I'm going to say something about that real quick in this transition. Apple and Macintosh make amazing products. You all know that, right? So what we're experimenting with right now is we want to move to having everything in the cloud, okay, for myself and other folks here. And believe me, the last thing, I'm not a wizard at this. But I found out this last week that, first of all, this cool little tool, what I was doing is I was having it take dictation. It was listening to me and then converting all my words to notes. Isn't that cool? Not just because it's cool, but then I could mail out a transcript, or more importantly, what I'll be able to do at some point is have all of my sermon notes on that iPad along with what you see on the screen on the iPad, and I can flip it with a finger and it'll help make me a better preacher. And God knows I need to be a better preacher, right? You don't have to agree that much, but that's where we're headed with that. So I didn't mean to be distracted by that. But we're looking at some new things. Just like at the back of the church, we have a monitor back there. That was all donated. John Russell donated that television, and John Veach made with his bare hands. John was at 8 o'clock. He's not here. So, he with his bare hands, Kim, his wife, he put this together, and John and Kim came in so we could hang it up. Why? So that I can see and the band can see what's going on back there. And it's just some moves we're doing to be better. Last night, I'm going to switch gears here. Last night, Alana came in and talked to me as we were winding down on Saturday night and said, hey, just got the news that a tornado hit Creston, Iowa. Now, Creston, Iowa is my hometown in that area. Creston, Union County, Adair is my area. That's where my daughter Emily, was born at the Creston Hospital. And so we got that news last night that the Creston Hospital had been hit by a tornado, and Southwestern Community College. And so we have last night sent some messages out, and even this morning in between worship, I've been trying to hear from, people, if you've lived in an area, your home folks, right? Trying to find out what's going on, what do you need, don't know anything yet. And in the same way that, we've prayed for them this morning, we'll keep praying for them. When you read a story that's about like a tornado or a tragedy that's set in a place that you consider home, right? So I'm reading this saying, well, the tornado went here, and then it was about 9 miles. It was over by Orient, and then it went by Greenfield. And I was thinking about our farm, the Schinkel Farm, is in that area. And so after worship, I'll be anxious to talk to my Uncle John and see what's going on down there with the Schinkel Farm and if everything's all right. Which is ironic because this week, I was talking and thinking about my Uncle John. My Uncle John, who lives on the farm now, and was talking about my Uncle John and my dad. My Uncle John is my dad's older brother. My dad died 5 or 6 years ago. His name was Tom. My Uncle John is a man who is a collector of things. Now, maybe you know somebody like this. They collect stuff. Let me give you some examples. My Uncle John collects John Wayne memorabilia. You know what I'm talking about? Adair County is not far from Madison County, so we're kind of in the neighborhood of the Duke, of John Wayne. So my uncle's got stuff. He's got movies, and he's got posters, and he's got mugs, and he's got, Larry, you collect stuff, so you know what I'm talking about. Pens, anything with the Duke's image on it. Okay, my Uncle John
Black
collects...
velvet.
And anything
John
on
Wayne
black
Black
velvet.
velvet.
Yeah, of course. I guess I need to come visit your house. Anxious to see your living room. Do you like Elvis too? Too bad. I think they do him on black velvet. Anyway, my Uncle John collects that stuff, and it's a good thing he's still, is on the farm, because we have a lot of barns and a lot of buildings, and he fills them up with stuff that he thinks valuable. He has John Wayne stuff. He has antiques. He has, guns. My family, we hunt. And shotguns and so forth. And it used to drive my father, my dad, Tom, crazy. Okay? From the time they were kids. Because they were so opposite. That my Uncle John liked to save things and look at things, and my dad liked to use things. Make sense? Know anybody like that? That was my dad. Very practical person. Very practical. So when they were little kids, they'd get a toy for Christmas. My Uncle John kind of said his and looked at it and kept it nice, and my dad's was trashed out and ruined in a week or something, right? Same thing when they were adults. I grew up, watching these two men who loved each other, and I love my Uncle John and think highly of him. But I think about my dad. My dad never got it, He never got the way my uncle acted, because if it was, for example, a hat, a hat, we men in Iowa, we collect hats, right? I do. And if my Uncle John was given a hat, it was a nice cap, like a ball cap, and he would look at it and wear it, special occasions, maybe put it up on a shelf. If my dad was given a cap, it was just a matter of a week or two before it was so greasy and grungy you wanted to throw it away, right? You use things. When it came to, I remember with guns, with shotguns, my Uncle John would get a really nice gun, beautiful Browning with a gold trigger and all this, and he'd want to put it in the cabinet, right? Look at it. And my father, he would get a gun, $600-700 gun or more, and after hunting season, it would be nicked and scratched and dirty and all this. Why? Because you use it. That was what I was taught. Pickup trucks. My Uncle John always had a nice pickup truck that kind of sat in the shed, and he would drive it to special events, and then there was an old beater that he drove around all the time. And my dad would go, why are you spending all that money on a pickup truck and parking it? You need to use it, right? If my dad had a truck, a newer truck, he never ever bought any new vehicle. But it didn't matter whether you were loading hay or loading iron or bricks. He threw it in the bed, right? Why? It's to use. I was thinking about all this week, trying to understand the heart of the message for the Sunday after Easter. And there's two tracks here, okay? And the first track is what Jesus said to the disciples when he appeared to them several times after Jesus had been reborn on Easter. One way to understand it is that Jesus showed up to these disciples and he looked at them and he said, use it, right? That's why I give you the example of two kinds of people. People that save something, put it away, keep it for nice, and the people that use it. Jesus showed up to the disciples and said, in effect, look, you've had all these experiences with me. You've had all these teachings with me. You've traveled around with me. You went through the trauma of Good Friday. And then you got a first-hand seat of the surprise of Easter. Disciples, you got a surprise of the power of God to do anything. Jesus came back and said, you've had a front row seat for 3 years. Now what are you going to do with it? Now use it. Y'all get me? You understand what I'm saying? That's how I understand the Sunday after Easter. Do something with it. The first disciples, that was the message. Do something with it. But see, here's the thing. Jesus had to show up to those guys at least 3 times because of the tendency we all have to go back to doing the familiar. Amen? What did the disciples do? Trauma of Good Friday. All the confusion. Then Easter, and even Easter's still trying to get their mind around it. He was dead, now he's alive. Still trying to make sense of it, and still trying to make sense of what they're supposed to do. And so they do like we do. They went back to doing what they knew about. In that gospel lesson, it says that even after 3 years, after Jesus had called them from the fishing boat on the seaside, after 3 years of being with Jesus, these guys were human. So with all that confusion and so forth, they said, let's go fish, right? Let's go back to doing something that we know about. Because we're in a place right now, says Peter and James and John, Thomas, the others. In effect, they say we're in a place right now that we don't know. Or it's kind of scary. Let's go fish. And then Jesus shows up. Jesus shows up and says, no. No, it's not about fish anymore, boys. It's about catching people, right? Jesus shows up in their familiar place. He shows up at the seashore. He shows up there, calls them off the water. Hey, come back here. You know, he showed them again power over the world, right? Catch a bunch of fish. Comes back, and then he gives the Great Commission. This is significant. It's significant for us as we turn the page. This idea, again, that we too have that tendency to want to stick with the familiar, right? We want to stick with our routines. Now listen to me. It doesn't mean we're bad. It doesn't mean we're rotten. It doesn't mean any of that. I was talking to the prayer group that I meet with on Sunday mornings. We meet about 20 till, quarter till 8 to pray for you, to pray for all of you. Everybody that walks in here on Sunday. And we were sitting down and I said, I guess it's just part of getting older. We must just have our routines, because my Sunday morning routine was kind of disrupted. Emily rode in here with me, which is good. That's not a bad thing. My daughter rode with me to church, but nobody ever rides with me to church. I use that time to pray and to sing, right? The only time I sing is when I'm by myself, Some of you too, right? And I use that time to pray and sing and to get my heart and my head ready. And so this morning I got the privilege of riding with my daughter, but you hear my point? It was out of my routine, okay? So it threw me off a little bit. And not bad, but that makes me think we're not bad. We're not rotten people, but we do like our routines and we do like the familiar. Yes?
Yes.
Only a few of you? Only a few of you? Let me say it again, see if you're still tuned in. Do you like routines? Do you like familiar things? Yes?
Yes.
That's what I thought.